You're watching Canadian Jewish television. My name is Susan Minuk. I'm lucky to have with me in the CJTV studio today an exceptionally talented and inspirational award-winning singer and songwriter, Amy Skye. Amy has 12 solo CDs to her credit and is well known for injecting her songwriting and experiences from real life. With hit songs like I Will Take Care of You and Ordinary Miracles, Amy celebrates the loves, losses, and victories of everyday life. As a prolific and multi-talented artist, Amy Skye has written for herself and dozens of other international recording artists. Her accolades include 3 SOCAN Awards, an American Songwriting Award. Amy has also been nominated for 3 Juno Awards, Best New Artist, and twice for Best Songwriter and Canadian Independent Music Awards. Amy's passions extend beyond music as well. She's been recognized for her work as a mental health advocate. In 2006, Amy was awarded the CAMH Courage to Come Back Award, and in 2009, she was honored with the Mood Disorders Association Hero Inspiration Award for her commitment to helping remove the stigma for mental health issues. Welcome to the studio, Amy. So wonderful to see you again.
It's great to see you, Susan.
So I wanted to talk about this Twilight Rose, which is your first Hebrew language album, and I remember when we spoke about it, I guess it's 5 years ago. You had told me that it was your mother, your beloved late mother, Sandy Shiner, who inspired you to create this album. And I'm just wondering if you can just share with me, why it's so meaningful to you.
Well, my mom was an amateur musician, and she loved music. And music was sort of the religion in our house. It was music on all the time. All 5 of my brothers and sisters and I played instruments. And my mother also loved her Jewish faith. And when she passed, I think one of the things about a grieving process is you need to bring meaning to the loss. And also, it's nice to have sort of a spiritual project with someone that you've lost so that you can kind of have a reason to talk to them and think about them. And I knew that my mom would go crazy if she'd been alive to hear this music. She just would have been so proud. So it was just I'd say it's a labor of love. It wasn't a labor, it was a joy to create it. And every time I sing the songs or listen to the CD, I feel my mother with me.
It's so beautiful. I remember listening to. Is there a particular song that you enjoyed the most?
Well, I decided to create songs that could be. Why don't we hold it up and then the camera can look at it and just give it a nice big close up so people can see. You can buy the CD. It's a little difficult. It's easier to get it on Apple Music or stream it on Spotify. But the idea was to create a series of songs that you could use for a Friday night service, a Shabbat service. So all the songs that I chose are songs you would find in the Friday night service. So I know like some synagogues and temples around the world are now using this music in their services. And one of my absolute favorite songs on this is the Kaddish. It took me the longest time to write it. It was the last song that I wrote because it's pretty daunting to set the Kaddish to music. And one day I had my mother's wedding band and I put it on my hand and I sat down at the piano and I pressed record on my iPhone and it just literally came out of me in one go, just one go. And I had to listen back to it to even write it down. I didn't even know what I had written. And that's a really good segue to our loved ones still with us, and can they help us? And that's actually what the new Broadway musical I'm writing is about.
Okay, we can talk about that now, or we can get to that
later.
We'll get
to that later.
Okay, I was going to conclude with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I also wanted to talk about Live On. So that was in the same year, and we spoke about that. That was a collaboration with Olivia Newton-John and with Beth Nielsen Chapman, who I had a chance to speak to for that piece that I wrote. And this was a collection of melodies, right? Where you're talking about grief, and I was just, I'm thinking about how you could translate that to now, because for the last year and a half, at least, I mean, everyone has grief at certain times in their life, but particularly the last year and a half with the pandemic. So I feel like this particular album and the lyrics, they really move you to the memories, to elevate the memories, really. I think you said to me it was like a spiritual book club.
Good memory, yes. Yeah. And you know what you're talking about in the last couple of years, really the theme of the album that I did with Olivia and Beth Live On is not so much grief as loss.
Loss, okay.
Because loss comes, you know, it can be a divorce, it can be the loss of a pet, it can be the loss of a friendship, it can be moving, it can be what we've all experienced in the last couple of years, which is the loss of security and the loss of autonomy. And everything changes, the loss of our social patterns. And along with loss comes the emotion of grief. And it's not always sadness. And that's one of the things we deal with Live On. It can be anger. It can be questioning. It can be searching for meaning. It could definitely be sadness. But it's what I really respect about the grieving journey is the search for hope and the search for meaning. And that's really why we did the album, because I'd lost my mom and Olivia had lost her sister and Beth had lost her husband. And we were all down the grieving journey a ways. It never goes away. It's not something you get over. It's something you learn to live with. So we wanted to share the experience of the journey.
And you did it so beautifully. Really, it's an important album, and people should know about that, because I think it would help for everybody.
Well, I think one of the reasons it helps is I read a fantastic book called Companioning the Mourner by Alan Wolfert, and he says that grief is the emotion you feel. Mourning is how you process along the grieving journey, and it only happens in conversation. And I was saying that to someone the other day, and they said, well, yeah, that's the Shiva, right?
Yeah.
But anyone who's lost anyone in the last couple of years hasn't had a Shiva, or hasn't had the ability to have all the people that would normally come.
Absolutely.
And so the process of healing comes in conversation with an empathetic person who can help you hold your emotions at each stage of it, whatever they are. And that's so important for all of us right now.
And you translated that into lyrics.
Yeah.
And it's very enjoyable, and it was wonderful. So I'm glad to be able to share that with the viewers so they can look that up. So I'm so excited, Amy, about your next album that you're working on with your hubby of 34 years, Mark Jordan, the singer-songwriter, very talented. He sang, she sang.
Yeah.
Yes, and I love the title. It's a great title. So that's going to be released in, I think you said early January.
I think it's going to be February now. Somewhere January, February, we're not exactly sure.
Okay, and it's a series of duets. So why so many years? It took how many years? I mean, you've done songs.
How many years did you say we've been married?
Well, 34 years.
That's why we've been married for 34 years. Because we've never done this before. You know, I think anybody that is watching that works with their spouse would understand why I would be resistant to working with my spouse, because it puts a lot of pressure. And you know, you marry someone usually because they're your opposite, which creates the sparks for romance, you know, and chemistry.
Yes.
But when you're working with your opposite and trying to do something together, like create music together, it can create problems that, you know, you wouldn't have if you were working together. So Mark and I are opposite in every way, other than our shared values, which is the important thing to have together. Yeah. So, and we approach music differently. We approach writing differently. We approach singing differently. We approach producing differently. And it was very interesting and challenging to find songs. We never managed to write a song together for this album, which is crazy, since that's what we do. But we did cover some of my songs on the album. We covered one of Mark's songs. And the one thing that we do love to do together is we love to sing. Well, we love the sound of our voices together. And it's very easy for us to sing together. But finding the material is the challenge.
Well, you had your beloved classics and then your original compositions, right?
Yeah.
So you did find the balance.
Well, you mentioned classics. One of the reasons that the two of us who make our living writing songs, that why we did other songs is it's hard to write a duet. It's hard to find a good duet. So we just looked for material, whether we wrote it or someone else wrote it, that could showcase the sound of our voices together, because that's the magic. The sound of the two, the blend is like, it's beautiful. I mean, I can say that, even though it's us.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly should. So I think I read it was since 2014 that you actually started the process of this album
Yeah.
in Nashville and here in Toronto. So that's a while. Like,
Well, the first single that's out now, the cover
Free
of the Tom
Falling.
Petty song "Free Falling," that was the very first thing we cut in Nashville in 2014. We started in Nashville. We finished everything in Toronto, but a lot of Nashville players on the whole record.
So do you have a favorite in the collection?
There's a song that I wrote about letting your kids go, or letting anyone that you love have their own space, and it's called "I'll Give You Wings."
Okay.
And I think that's my favorite on the whole record, and Mark's too.
Looking forward to that.
He cries every time he sings it. Yeah, and I think he says it's his favorite song that I've ever written, which is a
Wow.
lot coming from him.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to hearing that. Absolutely. I think although this is the first album you've done together, you have collaborated together on songs.
We've written some songs together. We've recorded about a half a dozen songs together, like one-offs over the years.
Yeah.
But like just only sort of when it would come up, or never like, we never wanted the pressure of we have to do something together. And Mark is incredibly prolific. He put out a solo album, Both Sides, 2 years ago. He's working on his next solo album that won't even come out till 2023. But he loves to write, loves to record.
Wonderful. Okay, actually, Mark is well schooled in the jazz vocal tradition.
Yes.
Correct. And you're more of a rich, mellow alto voice. How did you blend your respective styles?
That was really the challenge, Susan, because Mark's it's sort of like, you got to think of a Venn diagram. Like if Mark's over here with like jazz, R&B, soul, and then a little bit of pop and Americana here, and I'm over here with like super singer-songwriter, classical, and then I've got pop Americana over here. So the Venn diagram is where we both overlap, is in the pop Americana thing, the rootsy kind of stuff. So when you listen to the CD, you'll hear Mark's phrasing on songs like "You Were Always on My Mind," and even "Ooh Baby Baby," the Smokey Robinson song. He brings such a jazz sensibility to it. He back phrases. He reinvents the melody. He pushes the shape of the melody and the rhythm. And I'm kind of more in the pocket, in the groove, because that's my classical and pop background. Is kind of like, we honor the melody. You don't, excuse me, you don't like reinvent the melody. So, but it's a nice blend. And, but the parts where you actually sing together in harmony, that's where you really kind of get to know someone's mind map. Because if I would sing the melody first, Mark would have to copy my phrasing. If he would sing the melody first, I would have to copy his phrasing. And that's like being Ginger Rogers, and dancing backwards in high heels, right?
Yeah.
So we both learned a lot about the way each other actually sung, because we had to copy it, which is weird. It's strange for a singer to have to copy someone else's phrasing.
And your daughter Zoe, your
Yes.
son Ezra, your
Yes.
daughter's husband Liam. So they're all singer-songwriters, and they're backup singers on this album.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're backup singers. I would refer to them as guest vocalists, because
Okay,
they're
okay.
only because they're all artists in their own right, and
Absolutely,
we had to
yeah.
twist their arms to help us, like, please, because they really.
Oh, I didn't mean any disrespect.
Oh,
when I
no,
meant
I'm
backup.
teasing you.
I'm just meaning that they are part of this album.
Yes, yeah,
So
they are.
was that the original intent when you decided that you were going to create an album to bring the whole family, the mishpucha, into it?
You know what? Not really. No. Our kids are, all three of them. Well, our daughter's son and our son-in-law, tremendous musicians, and very individual and unique in their own right. And our voices really do sound good together, but we rarely sing together. We did one holiday show a few years ago together, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
But and of course, when you share genes, like, there's a harmonic blending that's amazing. So they did us the favor of contributing. But
That's so lovely.
I would love to work with them more, but I respect that they have their own thing going on.
So what does it mean to you, Amy, as an artist and as a mother, to see your children flourish as musicians?
I am beyond grateful that they have chosen to follow their passion. I think, Mark and I, we are so lucky. We've only ever done music like our whole lives. And every morning we get up and like, what are we going to create today? And he's in his studio, I'm in mine, and there's not I don't think there's a day go by we don't look at each other and go, we're so lucky that we get to do this. And for our kids to have, I mean, it just gives your life meaning. It's hard. The music industry is hard, you know, but to feel on purpose, to feel like you're using your gifts to interpret the world through to make sense of the world through your writing. I love it. I'm never happier than when I am hearing my kids create and happy with what they're creating. I just think that's the meaning of life to me.
So beautiful. Yeah, and they obviously grew up in a very musical home, and it's incredible that they are also so talented. I've actually written and spoken to Ezra, not to Zoe. So yeah, I know he's incredible. Okay, so what is your proudest moment as an artist?
Oh wow, proudest moment as an artist.
It's a big question, I guess.
Well, so many, but I'd have to say, I always wanted to both write my own songs and have other people sing them, and also sing them myself. And I thought it was going to happen all at once, but really what happened was my songwriting career took off for 13 years before I got my own CD out.
Okay.
And in those 13 years, I was living in Nashville and Los Angeles, and sort of lost belief that I was a viable artist because the songwriting was happening and the performing wasn't. So when I finally put out my first CD, Cool Rain, in 1996, and I was driving along DuPont in Toronto and heard myself on the radio, literally, it was like at the turning point. It was like through the looking glass. Okay, I'm not just behind the scenes. My voice does deserve to be heard, which I know it sounds funny, but like until it happens, you're like, well, maybe I'm not that person, you know?
Yeah, no, I get that. Thank you for sharing that. It's always nice to know where it finally clicks, right? That aha moment.
You don't take any success in the arts for granted. It's all a long process, and you know what it means to you, but validation from your peers and validation from the audience. I love my fans. I'm so grateful for my fans, and knowing that my music makes a difference in their lives and that they want to hear it. That's just a thrill. It never goes away.
Where do you get those, this wasn't a planned question, but I'm just, as we're chatting, where do you get those lyrics, those, deep emotions that you express so beautifully in your music? Where do they come from?
You know what? You're going to understand this because you're a journalist. When you write, do you write the headline before the article or after?
It has to be after.
Oh, you write it after. Okay, because you've got to find the story first, and then
yeah. I start with something, but it ultimately always changes because my story changes as I'm writing it. So not for you. Yours.
Well, this is just my process. I'm different than a lot of people, but I like to start with the title because it's not that I start with the title. It's that I'm thinking about life or in conversation, and something will come up that sounds like a title to me, or come up in my mind, or you might say it, I might steal something you say,
Right.
And once the title crystallizes, I see the story like a movie in my mind. And then I just connect to it like on a truth for a writer, for a songwriter is goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like if it gives me goosebumps and the story's like, then it just kind of unfurls, and Mark gets so mad at me because I write quickly, and his process is totally the opposite, but it comes sort of as a whole to me, and when I feel it in my bones, I go for a walk. Usually, I usually have to be moving for the lyrics to come out, and then it just sort of all tumbles out, and then I take that lyric to the piano or the guitar or to a co-writer to finish it.
Right.
But that's my process. It's not everyone's, but.
Well, it certainly works for you. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about your new project. You just told me about this yesterday.
Yes.
So the Hereafter, what is that all about?
So we've talked a lot about the background that led to me wanting to create a Broadway musical about loss. And the Hereafter, the story is a young composer, a young Jewish female composer who's on the brink of success in her life as a film scorer. And her husband passes away suddenly and unexpectedly. And she finds that she's able to communicate with his spirit. But the line between life and death and love and loss is blurred for her. And, we don't know, is it real? Is she losing her mind? Can we talk to the spirits that live beyond? So the show explores that at the same time as exploring creativity, because her creative process that was so abundant for her disappears after her husband dies. And you were just asking me, well, where do the ideas come from?
Yes.
I want to know. I don't know. And there's a song in the show called Big Magic, because to me, inspiration and love and what our relationship with our loved ones after they pass, to me, that's all magical. And I'm just we're exploring that in the show, and it's really amazing. And everyone has an experience of one of those three things: love, creativity, and loss. And I think everyone will find something really intriguing and thought-provoking to relate to in the show.
So where can people see this show? Is it a live performance? Is it
So the process of getting a Broadway musical on stage is a long one, and it's progressed through workshops, and we're doing our third workshop this October. But what's really fun is we're doing it in partnership with Theatre Aquarius in Hamilton. So the last day of the workshop, which is October 30th, we're going to do a highlights, excerpts, concert performance at Theatre Aquarius, and people can come. Limited number of tickets. It's in Hamilton.
It's in Hamilton.
Yeah,
okay.
which is not that far from Toronto.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and they can go in a couple of weeks, be able to go to the website and buy tickets. A limited number because we've got to socially distance. And that's where they can hear the musical highlights, and then we'll narrate the story through. It's not a full performance.
Right.
But
how exciting
yeah.
is it? So has this been a project that's taken some time to come to fruition?
Yes, it's been 2 years so far. And it'll probably be another year at least until it actually gets on stage in full, costumes and the whole thing.
Is this meant for Broadway?
That's my intention. Yes,
Wow.
to have it on Broadway. That is my next career goal. I really, of course, I wanted to play in Toronto as well, but I think the show belongs on Broadway, and I think it's, we started writing it before the pandemic because I was dealing with, as we talked about, the journey of loss and grieving in my own life. And then, millions of people are now living with new loss.
Absolutely.
And I think the show is really timely. I think it's going to give people a lot of hope. We also, one of my consultants on the show is a psychic medium. And I've been learning from her about the afterlife and what people believe about the afterlife. I'm not one to say, I know for sure. Of course I don't. Nobody knows for sure. But there are people that are
They're trained as a psychic medium.
Yes.
And what is your, is there authenticity in that? Do you feel based on your experiences?
In my experience, yes. You can call these things crazy coincidences, but I'm an ongoing, I call myself a spiritual agnostic. I'm always looking, always seeking. But she's going to be our special guest.
All right.
At the concert at Theatre Aquarius on October 30th.
Everybody will want to hear.
Well, she's going to come out at the end of the show, and she's going to do a group reading for the audience. And I mean, I have to tell you, she's told things to me that be pretty hard pressed that she Googled them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's unnerving, but it's, it's exciting about the possibilities where that could lead to. Well, how exciting for you. You've got so many wonderful projects on the go, and I'm excited for your musical duet album, He Sang, She Sang, to come out, and for this and just for everything. So thank you, Amy, for being here. I really appreciate it, and our chit-chat, it was lovely.
Thank you for having me, Susan. I really appreciate that you are spreading the word that there's a lot of, creative, entrepreneurial Jewish women out there.
So many champions like yourself. So I'm so excited to be able to share them with
and you're
the
one
viewers
as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.